Alright, this is going to be the conclusion to my series on the Thompson 1927 A1 that was sent to me to basically repair. First off, I would like to thank everyone for their input. I guess these guns are popular and there are a lot of people out there. Well, first thanks to Log Cabin Loom, who made a video discussing the problem that I had, and he kind of made the video before I got my videos uploaded explaining what was wrong and what I was going to do. And the whole crux of the problem was that this casting, and this is a casting, okay, where the extractor goes will come loose, and yes, if it pulled up, or if I'm not quite sure why, but I believe when you put a cartridge into the bolt, okay, it does raise up the extractor somewhat. And also on this, I don't know if it was after the first thing, there seemed to be a little bit of a dent or a ding in this bolt somehow when it was jammed and someone tried to pry it or something, I don't know, but I had to polish a little bit on the bolt face to get it to seat right. And what was happening is whenever the cartridge would go off, it would lift up the extractor, and when it was retracting, pull it forward, and there is a block or something that locks in to a spot right here, and that's supposed to, when the extractor pulls up normally, it's supposed to pull up a little bit when it grabs the case. That would keep it, that little portion in there would keep it from moving, but for some reason it would either go up, or it was too loose, or the inertia of this coming back would make it jump and keep pulling, because the area there where it's wedged in is not that tight and secure. Okay, and that was the extractor problem. Now, I also got a lot of feedback, a lot of comments from a whole bunch of people, and I thank all of them, discussing the primers, and we'll look at the primers here after the drum fire. We'll take a look at that. The primer puncturing and everything, and really I'm not sure, because this is a pretty simple weapon, and everyone who showed the protrusion of their firing pin is the same as this one. So it could either be an ammunition problem, or it could be every now and again with that little bit of a roughness on the bolt, that little ding in there, wasn't quite getting cartridge or twisting it away or something. I'm not sure, but I tried to fix that. Okay, but yes, I've got a lot of input, even on Rumble. I've gotten comments and input from people, and I'd like to thank you all for sharing the information. It helped. It's pretty straightforward, you know, and the Loctite, I put that super duper Loctite on there, and it doesn't, you know, it held. So I believe that problem solved. The firing pin problem, we'll discuss that a little later, but I think there was a few other little things I had to tweak and polish and fix that will do it. But in the video where I shot it, test fired it, I put 21 rounds in the stick mag. And the stick mag, and that's where I have a close-up so you can see it. And what happened is it just picked up the cartridge, it went click, it wasn't seated all the way in there. For some reason, the extractor and the bolt didn't jump over the cartridge. It was 1 out of 21. Okay, I kind of edited that because I cleared the case, or I cleared the bullet. Actually, I have it, that's what I was using, that's where this came from. I cleared it, put the mag back in. Actually, I think I'm going to edit it out. I didn't get the mag to lock all the way because, and this is the problem with this gun, whenever you try to stick a loaded stick mag or this drum in, it takes a, you got to shove it down, you more or less have to compress the spring. So it's always good to have the thing locked back, but with a full stick mag and without the third hand. The third hand works with the drum, not the stick mag. It's kind of tough. But yeah, I had issues with the stick mag. It would kind of almost lock. You almost got to give it a thump or a lot of pressure to lock it back in correctly. Or like when I went to fire it or I let the bolt go, the magazine will fall out. So that's something to be wary of. Also, another thing, the drum mag. Now the drum mag, and I did have issues with the drum mag. Number one, when you look at the back, the little winder goes in the front, and in the back, okay, there's a notch here. And that's where, on the left side of the rifle, that's where when you push that lever for the magazine, that's what locks into this notch. So you have to feed it from the left-hand side. And then when you do, with this full and wound, there's a bullet protruding upwards. And when I tried to get it in there, I had difficulty. I'm like, oh, why isn't it going on? You have to more or less push down and it'll go in that direction. Push the cartridge down, then slide it. And it hits the receiver. I'm not talking about the bolt. I mean, it's sticking up so high, it's hitting the receiver. So you have to push this down to slide it into the receiver, get it to lock in place. Then the third hand will help lock this, because when I did the drum magazine, what happened is I had a stovepipe or something. The cartridge didn't quite get out and it was mangled in there. So I pulled it back, got it out, looked, pushed it up forward, but for some reason it didn't quite cock or wasn't cocked or something. Or I pulled the trigger when the thing was stuck open and released it. So you have to draw it back. I drew it back and it was still around in the chamber, and then it started to misfeed. So then I had to draw it back, lock it with the third hand, get the drum out. Okay, the cartridge that was in there, I just let the bolt snap, fired it, cleared it, drew it back, relocked it again, slid the magazine back in, stuck, with the third hand, and slid the mag in. I had to push down. It wasn't as tough with 50 rounds in there after I got about 10 or 15 out. Still had to push that cartridge down to clear the receiver and get it in. And then once I did that, I finished the rest of the magazine without any trouble. Now the magazines, once you load these and wind them, the only way you can get the ammo out is either to fire it in the gun or try to push it out, and I did that, and it was a nightmare. It was, every time it got to a finger, it'd be stuck. But obviously, the action of this gun is so tough, it just slams them right out of there. There was no feeding, other than the fact one of them stovepiped and got crunched up. Okay, and then threw the firing pin and everything off, then started double feeding. Other than that, this mag did work well. It should. They're like $350 for one of these things. But anyway, let's look at some of the cases and we'll discuss that primer piercing problem. I believe this could be ammo, and we'll discuss it when we look at the cases. Okay, on the right was the group from the first firing where you see that firing pin pierced that pretty good. There were no issues. This is what I found from the 20 some odd shell, 21, 3 of them were missing. There are no issues with it in the stick mag today, okay? And if you look at it, all of them are pretty good heavy strike, like they should be. Now this is what I recovered from the 50 here on the left. Now as you see, other than this one up in the corner may have been pierced all the way through, not as terrible as the other, but these other ones I believe are leaks. In other words, they're not punched all the way through, but gases leaked back after they were pierced. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 50 rounds. So this is kind of quite inconsistent. And if you notice, the rest of these are, you know, they got a good bash in there. That primer's striking heavy, and it does kind of vary. So this striking of the firing pin is varying, is inconsistent. So as far as the firing pin issue, and I've looked at other people, and you know, Log Cabin Loons, he showed in his video, that firing pin does protrude quite a good distance when you push it up manually. It's kind of an inertia thing. You're supposed to tap it and then it just glides in there. Why it's piercing some or hitting real hard on others but not all, I'm not quite sure. But then again, I don't know if people are, you know, how close they're checking the ammo or the cases. I'm doing that. I'm studying every case fired in that as part of this repair job. But that's where it stands. So I believe everything's fine. I got the drum to work, other than the one malfunction. I'm going to contact the owner, tell him I believe I got everything straightened out. I'm going to go with him and have him put a bunch of rounds through there, make sure he understands all this, show him how to use this. Because the manual is available online, but there's a learning curve to this firearm, okay? And people who are not quite firearm savvy or whatever could probably have some difficulty unless someone's there to show them. You know, like the fact of pressing these cartridges down, or, you know, before we even shoot, take the empty stick mag, draw it back, lock the thing back, put it on safe, and, you know, then load the stick mag, drop her forward, and you shouldn't have no problem. Shoot the stick mag and it locks back. You're ready for the drum. But the drum, it's a thing of wonder, okay? You got to give that cartridge a shove down in there. Maybe I'll leave that in the video, I don't know. And put an insert into that. So, yeah, there's a few things here that hangs you up, but once you figure them out, it's a fun gun to shoot. It's an expensive gun, and 45 caliber ammunition isn't exactly cheap, whether you buy it or reload it. Okay, any of the big calibers, you know, is gonna set you back. But I think I got it, and I'd like to again thank everyone, you know, the Loon and all the other people that sent me comments, advice, suggestions, where to go and get it serviced and everything else, and all that other stuff. You know, I'd like to thank you for your input. It's very interesting. All right, so thanks for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned.